Some of you are already very, very afraid. I don't mind that at all, to be honest. When God gets inside of you, and you're so aware of His presence, you're finally beginning to part way, in a minuscule way, understand the relationship as it was intended to be. And when you're in that place, most of what you've received with regards to the gozendas haven't been from Him. And you start to recognize the gozendas that are from Him. Right? Yeah. And it completely changes the way you think. Completely and totally changes the way you think. Paul wrote about it in Romans 12. He called it the renewing of your mind. The renewing of your mind. The battleground of the devil is between your ears. Okay? He's a liar. He's the father of all lies. He's the prince of this world. He's seeding his lies. He seeds his lies so they'll grow into a thing. Wheats and tares. He seeds tares. He seeds the lies. And then he challenges this way. He says, did God really say? Because that's not your experience. So did God really say? Am I right? Yeah. Come on now. You've heard that. You've read it in the book and you said, this is what it says in the book, but that's not my experience. So let me go find a commentary so I can see what it really means, because it doesn't mean what it says because that's not my experience. Come on. That's what we do. And then we read this thing, we said 1950 years, this guy said this. So it must be true. It must be true. Because it doesn't match my experience. You know the difference between your experience and the truth is one thing. Jesus Christ. Amen. One thing. When He gets inside of you, I'm telling you, man, this thing changes. This thing changes. My experience becomes His experience.
Right.
I get to live His life. There's a thing. It's in the book. This is my book. It's small. I'd bring the bigger one so you'd think I was more important, but this one's easier to find stuff. Come on, just stay with me now. Don't. Everybody's getting a little excited. It's all right. It's going to be fun. Just go with this for a second. There's a thing in Proverbs 14:12. It says, there is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death. A way that seems right to a man. We have a tendency as mankind to want to figure it out. I got to figure this thing out. I need to be independent. I'm an independent thinker, an independent free thinker. I got lots and lots of wisdom. Just look at me and all my degrees, and I got to figure it out. And I think a lot about this stuff. I got a bunch of churchy words. Mark talked about some of those last week. And the way that seems right to a man. There's another one in Proverbs. It says, Proverbs 3:5. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. Whoa. How about that? Right? How about that? How about trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your understanding? I kind of like that. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Wow. For the fear of the Lord, and turn away from evil. Oh, by the way, that's turn away from the lies of the devil, and it will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. Anybody like that? I like that one a lot. I like that one a lot. You know, it all started all the way back in the garden. You know, this guy, Stephen Thomas, Steve, or Stephen, Steve Thompson. I didn't get any of it right. There was a guy in Bishop. And he was from the South, so he sounded like me. So that makes him cool. And he talked about the cosmic test. Is that what he called it? The cosmic test. So he said the garden was actually a cosmic test. God put us in the garden, and then he brought along Satan so that we could be tested. Cosmically tested. And we've been living in a cosmic test ever since. So every single day of your life is an opportunity to test and do right. So you get it right. And you study the book so that you know all the answers. So you know the goods and the bads and the laws and the not laws. And you figure out which one fits with which, and you can pass the test as long as you study enough for the test. It's a great cosmic test. And in the end, if you pass the cosmic test, you get to go to heaven. Right? Come on, that's the kind of stuff that we've said. That's the way that seems right to a man. The thing in the garden is kind of interesting. You know, when God said he created man in his own image, in the image of God he created him, male and female, and he created him. And God said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Now, I've tried that. I'll go up to Bishop, up to Owens River, and I'll command those fish to get in my creel, and they don't. So something is missing. So there's this thing that happens after that. And I have it right here. Okay. And then here comes the serpent. And he says to the woman, did God actually say, you shall not eat of any tree in the garden? It's a loaded question, right? How does she answer? You know, she doesn't answer the question the way God told her, right? What does she say? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but God said, you shall not eat of the fruit of this tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. God didn't say anything about touching it. He said, don't eat from it. The way that seems right to a man. But the serpent said to the woman, will you surely not die? For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So what's the lie? She's already made in God's image. She's already like God. She is in the likeness of God. And Satan has deceived her. And she agrees with the lie. So she comes from being a dependent creature in the garden. Do you know that God provided everything for man? Do you know it's not about thou shalt and thou shalt not? He says, I've given you everything. I've given you everything. You don't need this one. Do you understand what I'm saying? I've given you everything. You don't need this one. And Satan says, I think you need that one. He talks us into independent thought. You know, the fall of man is not so much the fall into sin, it's the fall from dependency to independency. I went from the way that seems right to God to the way that seems right to a man. And I've been fighting that thing ever since. And that's where the devil battles us. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Have I twisted your thinking so much so that everybody's ready to leave? Not yet, right? Okay, I'm looking around. Everybody's okay. All right. It's in the book. All right. Oh, there's so many places to go, but I want to stay on a particular theme. So, independence versus dependence. So now we're this independent creature.